Hopefully you all get there and be old enough like me. So we welcome you, each of you today. Thank you, Tim, for leading us in the rosary. And thank you for the family for providing the music today. We'll begin the service by reading the program order. And we're here in loving memory of Amie Nichole Childers, who was born on November the 26th, 1978 in Idaho Falls, Idaho. And she passed away on January the 5th, 2025 in Tallahassee, Florida. We began the service today with an opening prayer by Kiara. Thank you for that. After, we'll begin today with remembrance by her mother, Kate. And following Kate, we'll have a musical number, Tears in Heaven, after which we'll invite Marina to come forward and offer the live sketch and some remembrances also. Following her, we'll have another musical number, Amazing Grace. And then at this point, we'll have what's called a time of sharing of memories. And would like to invite any of you that would like to share a memory of Amie, if you'd please come forward and share that memory. I'm sure there was quite a few. Kate told me she was a happy child and a little bit accident prone, I guess. And so, but what a beautiful life she lived. And so would like you to share those memories with the family. And we'll conclude the service today with a closing prayer by her father, Jim Childers. So Kate will invite you to come forward at this time. I hope all of you had an opportunity to sign the register book and to grab a little program. This is a unique program. It has little flowers inside there, little flower seeds. And so if you plant that, it keeps Amie's memory alive as those flowers grow. It's what a beautiful thing. So we'll go ahead and ask Kate if you would please come forward at this time.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you all for coming today to share the love of my daughter, Amie Nichole Childers, and to celebrate her life. Yes, it's a hard day, but it's a joyous day because we all got to have this bright, shining light in our lives. I believe in signs and portents, and I know Amie is here beside me, lending me strength, telling me to be fierce, Mom, be strong, Mom. When I got in the car to drive down from Idaho Falls, where I've been staying with my Auntie Betty, and I turned on the radio, the first song that came on was Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine. And I knew she was with me. I'll be taking a lot of deep breaths to get through this. It helps lighten the grief. Many of you here today knew and loved Amie-Bear and have so much to share, maybe choked up with grief. I hope that sometime today, whether here or afterwards, you can reach behind that grief and find your strength and find your love and share something with someone, whether it's me or her father or her niece or nephew or a sister or a friend. Share something of Amie and help keep her spirit here today. Think of it as channeling your inner Amie, because she was fierce and she was here and it was reversed and it was you. She would be standing up for you. Speaking of fierce, her first kicks were fierce and she was stubborn. When she decided it was time to join the world, it was a very quick, intense birth. When she was born, she had a lovely greenish hue to match her cone head. Green became her favorite color, which is why I'm wearing green today in honor of her. She and I used to joke that she was my ugliest baby, but my prettiest toddler. The day she was born, the 26th of November, it was a cold Sunday just after Thanksgiving. Amie's birthday fell on Thanksgiving 7 times during her life. It was one of her favorite holidays. She thought it was unique. that her birthday fell near Thanksgiving, and uniqueness was definitely a quality that Amie possessed. Thanksgiving will fall on her birthday again in 2026, and I know I'll be thinking of her and feeling her close to me that day. No, not now. Amie was a sunny, happy child with big blue eyes and an infectious laugh. She loved butterflies and riding her trike. She followed her big sister Tommy around so much that we called her Tommy's shadow. She loved to sit on the living room floor on her stomach with her head propped up on her elbows watching TV. And her sister Tommy loved to sit on Amie and would straddle her back watching TV. Later, it became her little sister Marina that availed herself of what we would call the Amie chair. Many of you heard us refer to it as Amie-Bear, and maybe you don't know where that nickname came from. When Amie was a baby, she had very, very fine blonde hair. She looked bald from a distance for a long time. She didn't look like she had any hair. And when she was little, I would rub her head and I would sing to her. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. So Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't Fuzzy Wuzzy. And then on her first birthday, she got like 10 bears. Every present had a bear on it. Every card had a bear on it. And I don't know, but Jim and I just started calling her Amie-Bear. And it spread. And bears were always her favorite gift. A child born on a Sunday is said to be full of grace. And Amie was my graceful child. When she was 9 months old, she got a hold of a cord to a boom box that somebody had left hanging down. And she pulled on it. And she broke her own nose, which was just the first in a long series of another broken ankle. Didn't you break that one already? Wait, I thought you just broke that. You broke your arm? Oh no, I just sprained it, Mom. If there was an accident to be had, Amie would find it.
Definitely.
Oh, and Amie loved to talk. And if you had her phone, if she had your phone number, she was calling you. And if you answered, you were on her list. And she would call you often. We had a day, Sunday. Sunday was the day Amie called me. She always knew that if she called me on a Sunday, I'd pick up because she knew I had a busy life. So we made an agreement. She got tired of me not picking up calls Sunday. And she would tell me all about her life, how much she missed Aaliyah and Dominique. She would tell me about Thad and the house they were building and fixing up and what a good guy he was. I would send packages to Marilyn's house, who's Thaddeus's mom, because Marilyn was like a second mom to her. She was all the way in Tallahassee and I'm across the country in Oregon. She spoke about how she talked to Micaiah every day and how proud she was of her, how she was growing up to be such a beautiful young woman, how she missed and loved her other 2 children, Ireland and Seven, and how proud she was of them and when she was going to see them next, when she'd be visiting Tommy and Andy, and what trouble she was going to give Andy on their next phone call. She always asked about family. How's Aunt Betty? What's going on in Arco? How's Grandpa Yeager? How are my sisters doing? Or your sisters doing, Mom? How are all the other kids? Tell me what everybody's doing. She loved and missed her family and treasured family above all else. As a family, our vacations centered around trips to amusement parks, local fairs, Disney, Epcot, Universal, MGM. Amie was the one that loved the scary rides. There was no roller coaster too big or too fast or too scary, but she was also the one that would take the hands of her smaller brother and sisters and take them on the kiddie rides because she loved the kiddie rides too. And she would give us a break. When Robert was 6 months old, Amie dressed up for Halloween as Minnie Mouse because Robert had a Mickey Mouse jogging suit, and she wanted to take her 6-month-old brother trick-or-treating around the neighborhood. Amie never missed a holiday. She always called or texted, or let's be honest, usually both. She never forgot a birthday, an anniversary, Mother's Day, Father's Day, any holiday. Amie used to reach out and say, hey, happy birthday, happy Valentine's Day, thinking of you today. But more importantly, Amie knew the really important dates, the dates you remember, the ones that are engraved on your heart. Amie called me every year on 10/4, the day my mother died, to check on me, to make sure I was okay. I have a feeling it'll be a really long distance call this year. One memorable aspect of Amie were her eyes. Everybody that comments to me in remembrance of Amie says she had the most beautiful eyes, sometimes blue, sometimes green, sometimes gray. She loved to accentuate her eyes. It's a feature she's remembered for. And it gives me comfort to know that as an organ donor, those beautiful Amie eyes are out in the world somewhere, still seeing. If you knew Amie, then you knew she could be very contrary. She was someone with a gentle soul who wanted everyone to be happy, and was also the same person who never walked away, but rather ran towards a fight. She was someone who loved people absolutely. Went to the worst homeless camps in Tallahassee as part of her work with a nonprofit helping the homeless. The director there, who was a really good friend of hers named Danielle, told me that Amie would walk into the darkest, scariest places with food and water, places no one else would go. And those people loved her. But she was also the person who was not able to manage and thrive in our complicated society and who had a lot of the same problems that she was helping others with. She was someone with a wicked sense of humor, who was also deeply spiritual. Amie had a radiance about her, not just her blonde hair and her blue eyes, but it was almost like an aura of light that followed her. She was a bright light, but she lived in a sometimes very dark world. Amie was someone you'd be happy to see. You wanted to go up into her room and say hello to her. Today, Amie, we're here to say goodbye. It's the last of so many firsts, Amie-Bear. And I know you're here with me, giving me strength and helping me continue. As we remember Amie, and remember all those that we've loved and lost, I remember the lessons and the things they've taught me. My grandpa Paulus, he taught me patience. My grandma Paulus, she taught me joy. My mother Leela, she taught me strength. My mother-in-law and my best friend Alice, she taught me kindness. My gentle Uncle Brent, he taught me faith. My ride or die Dana, he taught me friendship. and Amie-Bear, daughter number 2. Well, Amie taught me fierce, unconditional love. So let's remember Amie-Bear and celebrate her life today.
you, Kate. That was beautiful. Marina, we'll go ahead and invite you to come forward and offer the live sketch and some memories at this time.
I'm going to try to get through this. My Marina, Amie was my sister. And Andy is my brother-in-law. He's just here to support me. Amie was known for her outgoing spirit and her deep compassion for others. She had a gift for seeing people truly, always looking past the surface and noticing their hearts first. Her laughter was big and contagious. Her smile so wide it lit up her whole face and carried joy to everyone near her. To her friends, Amie was loyal, funny, and full of life. She had a laugh so big and contagious that it could light up a room, her smile stretching wide across her face like pure joy. She carried responsibility with strong shoulders, often putting others before herself, making sure her family felt safe, cared for, and loved. As one of her dear friends, Edlin, remembered, Amie was a free spirit who carried music in her soul. She loved singing along to TLC, SWV, and En Vogue, walking barefoot through the neighborhood while belting out Disney songs with friends, and even learning salsa steps just for the fun of it. Music, laughter, and connection were at the center of her life, and she always found ways to create joy, even in the simplest moments. But alongside her lighthearted joy, Amie also carried incredible strength. Even when life was difficult, she rose to the occasion, sometimes kicking and screaming, but always pushing through and making things happen. Friends remember her not just for her laughter, but also for the way she showed up when life was heavy, not with judgment, but with compassion, understanding, and love. She listened deeply and made others feel safe and carried them through hard times with nothing more than her presence. Her faith and generosity shaped her entire life. Amie asked deep questions, thought hard about character and love, and lived a strong sense of kindness. She often reminded others that beauty wasn't about appearance, but it was about having a good heart. She loved fiercely, she gave freely, and lived in a way that left people feeling seen and valued. Her friends remember her as loyal and loving, someone who gave without restraint. She had a way of keeping people close, whether it was encouraging friendships, protecting her loved ones, or carrying the burdens of others as if it were her own. She was the kind of friend who made you laugh when you wanted to cry, who stood beside you in silence when you needed it, and who always, always chose love first. Amie was full of excitement for new beginnings. She loved her home and family, and I remember how thrilled she was when she and Thad, her boyfriend, were buying a new house. She called me to help pick out the tile and flooring colors. She was so excited to make it theirs. Amie and Thad's love story was one of her favorites to share because it began with a funny twist of fate. She had texted someone by mistake, and then Thad replied, "Who is this?" She simply said, "Amie." He asked for a picture, and from that moment on, they met 3 days later, and they just kept talking. Then they met in person, and from there, they stayed together for 9 years. It was one of those beautiful meant-to-be accidents that only Amie could turn something so lasting and full of love. The same joy carried through her whole life, finding happiness in the little things, celebrating the big ones, and always inviting others to be a part of her journey. Some of the sweetest memories with Amie go back to childhood. We spent hours outside playing kickball, running around until the street lights came on and we had to come home. We loved playing in our little big room in Washington, making up games and stories together. She loved Halloween, especially extravagant costumes our mom made for us. She and Tommy, our other sister, only 15 months apart, were thick as thieves through their entire lives, sharing countless adventures and a special closeness that only sisters could know. And when it came to swimming, Amie always wanted to race in the backyard pool, and she always won. We also spent summers with our dad, precious Idaho summers filled with adventure and freedom. He took us camping and fishing out on the four-wheelers. He all taught us how to drive at a very young age. Amie loved every minute of those summers with him, the smell of the campfire, the dust of the trail, and the thrill of learning new things together. We rode our horses Jack of Diamonds and Sissy and made the kind of memories that shape a life. Long days under big skies, laughter echoing across fields, and a steady love of our dad holding it all together. Amie also shared a special bond with our dad through their love of football. Her favorite team was the Chicago Bears, and game day meant she was on the phone with him, sharing excitement, plays, and victories. And no matter how busy life became, Amie never forgot the people she loved. She was always the first one to call family members on their birthday, making us feel remembered and special. Above all, Amie was a devoted mother. Her 5 children, Aaliyah, Dominique, Micaiah, 7 in Ireland, were her greatest joy in the center of her world. She poured everything she had into them, and they were her proudest legacy. She cherished butterflies, white lilies, symbols of beauty, hope, and transformation. They reflect her soul, gentle yet strong, radiant and full of grace. Amie's legacy lives on in our hearts of her family and all who loved her. She will be remembered for her laughter, her generosity, her strength, and her unwavering love. Her spirit will continue to shine in every white lily that blooms, and in every butterfly that takes flight, and in every act of kindness shared in her memory. Though we wish we had more time with her, we carry peace knowing she is safe and whole in God's arms. Until we meet again, we will carry her close in our hearts, living out her spirit of faith, kindness, and love. And for me, Amie wasn't just my sister. She was my best friend. She was my safe place. My partner in laughters and in tears, and I will carry her love with me always, and I will honor her by living the same faith, love, and joy she carried so beautifully for her life.
You're good.
Like me, I once was lost, but now was blind, but now I see. I'm praised for peace, breathe. I'm praised I'm praised we are right through many darkness, we are what grace from us when we
Thank you, Marina, for painting a beautiful picture of Amie for us. The time is now yours. If you'd like to share some memories, I'm sure there's some good ones. I'm glad to hear some of you laughing at the pictures that were put together. So if you'd like to share a memory, would invite you to come forward and share a short memory of Amie, and after which we'll invite Jim to offer the closing prayer. So the time is yours if you'd like to come forward.
You're welcome. I'm Tommy. I'm Amy's sister. I have a really funny memory. Me and Amie have tons of funny memories. We were thick as thieves and we fought like the devils. But there was this one memory we have in our home in Orange Park, Florida. And me and Andy had left to go run errands. And Amie was living with us. And we had our 3 kids, and then she had Kaya there. And we had like these linoleum wooden floors. Amie decided she was going to mop the floors with the kids. So she poured buckets of water on the floors and acted like the house was a slip and slide with the kids. And it's some of the best memories that my boys have of her is running out of the kitchen and then just sliding into the living room. So that was Amy's idea of cleaning. If we're going to do it, we're going to have a great time doing it, guys. It got cleaned, but yeah, there was a slip and slide in our house. I don't know what else. We partied. Me and her were, oh my gosh. Yeah, we had some great days in Tallahassee partying. She was a great mother. She was a great aunt to my boys. She will be missed, but I feel like she's always with me. I'm very spiritual, and I see a lot in my dreams, and I don't like the colors orange or blue. Hence, Chicago Bears. I'm not a Chicago Bears fan. And there's this song that came on probably like 3 weeks ago, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, called Tennessee Orange. It's a country song. And I was like, I'm not wearing orange. I'm not wearing orange to your celebration. I'm not doing it. I had a pair of jeans and a t-shirt packed to wear here. And then Marina decided to call and was like, no, we're going to dress up. Wore 5 dresses, put this dress on. I was like, oh, let's do this dress. Got here and realized it was orange and blue. And I was like, no, she did not. So yeah, we argued about the Chicago Bears. She always called us. But yeah, she will be missed and loved by my whole family, and my boys too. I have a lot of great memories with her. Thanks.
Good job, Tommy.
Gosh darn.
can't. You can't. And you can't. You have to say goodbye. Get out there. You want to come with you?
No.
That is. Let's go get that.
I'm just gonna try to make this.
You got it.
But like Marina said, me and Amie met by accident. I don't really think it was an accident. I just say it was part of God's plan. We had a conversation. She texted me and I was like, well, who is this? And she's like, Amie. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know any Amies. And she's like, well, who's this? I said, this is Thad. She said, well, I'm Amie. She said, are you from Tallahassee? I said, yes. And she said, so what are you doing? I was like, okay. I was like, I'm actually pulling up at work. And she asked me what I did, and we kind of just had like a 5-minute conversation. And she was like, well, can you send me a picture of you? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. But how about you send me one first? I was like, because you don't really just meet random people out of the blue like that. And she sent me a picture over. And I was like, okay, let me hurry up and send this picture. This woman is beautiful. And sent the picture back, and she asked me when was my next day off. And I told her, I said, I have Tuesdays off. And she said, well, maybe we can meet and hang out. And I was like, yeah, that would be fine. So she was like, well, you can't come to my home because I don't know you that well. So we have to find a mutual spot. So yeah, we found a mutual spot, one of her favorite spots, public library. And I called her and I said, I'm out front. She said, I'll be out. And I looked as she was coming downstairs. I was like, nah, that can't be her. That's just too good to be true. And she kept getting closer and closer to my car. And I was like, wow, that is her. And so we met that day, went to the park, conversations, had lunch. And after that, we just started texting. And I started telling her more about my life, and she started telling me about her kids, which was her priority over everything. And she used to write me these long, long letters. I have a shoebox full of them. I'd come home from work. I was like, oh, I gotta read a 3-page letter. I thought just worked a double shift, okay? And she always expressed and told me how grateful she was for meeting me. But like I told her, as time passed and our relationship got stronger, I told her, I said, you don't have to be grateful for meeting me because I'm more grateful for meeting you. Because she brought me through a lot of tough times. I took everything always so serious. It's just work, bills, managing everything. And she just taught me how to open up and how to have fun and how to laugh and how to enjoy life. And she constantly fussed at me about putting more time into work than I did home. But I was like, babe, well, this stuff doesn't pay for itself. So I'm gonna have to keep doing that. But she really taught me a lot, and she opened up my heart and just taught me how to love, like truly love a person. And our last conversation, she always compared me to her dad because when we got in arguments, I wouldn't argue. I'll just be quiet. And she's like, okay, I'm used to that, Jim Childers. So, last conversation, I was getting ready to go to work. She didn't want me to go to work. It was New Year's Eve. And she's like, well, I'm just going to go hang out with some friends. I was like, well, hon, I'll be back in like 7 hours. I'm going to try to get off early so we can spend it together. She's like, well, okay. But I'm going anyways. I was like, okay. So once you said that, I know it was pretty much a done deal. Didn't say anything all the way in the car. So she said, you're not going to say anything to me? I was like, no. She said, that's fine. I'm used to that, Jim Childers. And she closed the door. And I had that conversation with her dad yesterday. Yeah. And she was just such an amazing person. And she loved so, so, so hard. And it's just going to be hard and tough to go on. But with having her kids, that gives me strength because I still get to be close to them. And I've grown to love all of them as they are my own. And I met all of her family over the years, and I've grown to love all of them. And just like my brother-in-law, I just met last few days ago, but I consider that to be my brother-in-law. And I'm just grateful that I had the opportunity to share my life with her. That's good. You're good, Mommy. I can't. Got it. I can't. You got it.
I'll be your side. You got this.
So I'm usually not emotional. Pretty tough guy. But Amie was really close to me.
They were really close.
So
Really close. Like, 'cause me and her, when we would fight, like we would fight. And I wouldn't answer to her phone calls. She would call him. I'm like, I'm not talking to her. So she would be like, hey, bro. What are you doing, bro? Eventually I would talk to her because she would drive him crazy. But yeah, he would stay on the phone with him for hours. Mostly was arguing about football, especially on game days, because we're Jacksonville Jaguar fans. He is like a through and through Jacksonville Jaguar fan. And they played last season, and it was like calling, texting, because we actually lost, right? Yeah, so we lost, and yeah, it got rubbed all in our faces. In London, we lost.
So Amie was more than a sister-in-law to me. She was actually like my sister. I've known them. Actually, I met her and Tommy at the same time, 23 years ago. So I've known her for a long time. I don't have as many memories as, you guys, the family, but the time that I did know her, I loved her. She loved all of us. She loved her family. She loved her children to death. Oh my God. And I'm just glad that I was able to be a part of her life, this family. I'm glad I've got Micaiah now. 7 in Ireland. I love them all. I love Amie. I have those times where I'm just sitting and randomly it'll pop up in my head and tears will just start flowing. But I don't typically cry, so when I do, it's a lot. And today it's really heavy for me, but I'm gonna get through it. I've got plenty of stories, but I don't have enough to. I can't. The pictures are even making me cry, so I don't even want to do a story. But we've got plenty of memories and plenty of good times. Come on. I can't.
Thank you.
I can't.
Is there anybody else that would like to share a memory? Yeah. Okay. Jim, we'll go ahead and invite you to offer the closing prayer at this time, please.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate it. And we got a luncheon afterwards up to more. Eternal Father, I offer you the most precious blood of thy divine Son, Jesus, in union with the masses, said throughout the world today, for all the holy souls in purgatory, for sinners everywhere, and for sinners in the universal church, for those in my own home and in my family. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you to each of you that shared today. That was very interesting and fun to hear. So, as Jim mentioned, there is a luncheon that's been provided up at the Moore Community Center. It's just 7 miles here north of us, west. And he asked that all of you would please participate in that meal if you can. And following that, we'll do the interment at that point following. So we'll go ahead and ask the audience if you'll please arise, and we'll dismiss the family. And those that did not have an opportunity to sign the register book, if you'll please do so on the way out. And please grab one of these cards that Kate provided for you to plant the flower in memory of Amie. So thank you again. Those of you that weren't here in the beginning, these little cards are actually wildflowers, and so if you'll plant those flowers will come up in the spring. So go ahead and grab one of those up by the register book, please.
Yep, I don't know. Chip, go ahead. Oh, man. Yeah. Good to see you. Good to see you. I didn't know about all this. Covered up ugly. Good to see you. I lost me. 5 years ago. Now you get real good. You just, yeah. Here,